Hi friends, today in our safety unit, health unit for the week, we're going to be talking about first aid kits, what to do, what to put in them, what they do, and of course how important they are and where to store them, okay? So what is a first aid kit? First aid is the first line of treatment when someone gets hurt. When someone gets seriously hurt, the first thing you should do is call emergency services. That means you grab a phone and dial 911. So remember earlier in the week we talked about when to call 911 and how to decide if it was serious. But even under the best circumstances, it'll probably take a few minutes for an ambulance to show up. That's why knowing first aid is so important. It can keep a victim safe and prevent further harm until help arrives, okay? So some things you might do with first aid. Now, of course, these are things grown-ups will do, but it's a nice thing for you to be able to know about them and know about first aid kits as well. So they might do CPR. That's what's happened if someone's having trouble breathing. That's how you can kind of help someone breathe. And something you guys could help do would be stop bleeding from a cut or a wound, right? Cleaning it up, using Band-Aids, things like that are what we're going to talk about, okay? It can also be used to provide basic care for less serious injuries like minor scrapes, bruises, and burns. So these are, of course, the kind of things that you would probably be able to help with in less of an emergency situation. Either way, it's always a good idea to have a first aid kit handy. Okay? So what are some good places to have a first aid kit, or where are some good places to have a first aid kit? Injuries can happen anywhere. You should keep a first aid kit with you if you are going to be a far distance from help. So you should probably have one at your house, right? And you probably would have some, your grown up probably has it in the bathroom maybe or in the kitchen, right? Band-Aids, things like that. It's a good idea to have one in your car. It's a good idea for coaches to have some and take them to games with them so that they're with you. It's a good idea for me as a teacher to have, we could have first aid kits outside where we recess, the playground. The PE teacher would probably need to have one. We'll have them in the classroom, and I have one in my classroom at school. So if you were at school, I would show you where it was in the classroom as well. The nurse, of course, would have one. And when you're traveling, which kind of goes with the car, but I know some people like to take them even if they're going into a hotel, just so they always have something with them. So they have their suitcase and their first aid kit. It's just nice to be prepared. So here are some things you should have in a first aid kit. The first thing in your kit, first aid kit, should be your gloves. So you have plastic gloves, always. We wear gloves not to just protect ourselves from blood, but from all body fluids, right? So if you're helping treat someone, you want to make sure that you have gloves not only to protect them, because you don't know what germs you have on your hands, but also to protect you, because their injury might be infected or something like that, and you just want to make sure that you both are protected. Band-Aids. Band-Aids help protect a wound, cut, or scab from bacteria and dirt. Band-Aids help the healing process. And I'm going to attach some videos. So I'm going to attach the video of what is in a first aid kit. You might have seen that I tried the other one. And there's a really cool video that I have about how Band-Aids work. So I'm going to attach that as well. Scissors. Scissors are handy for opening bandage packages and cutting tape to secure bandages, right? So you don't want to be fiddling with something, trying to open it, struggling to open it if you're trying to help someone, right? So having scissors just makes sure opening everything easier. And later we're going to talk about some, gauze and cloth masks that are easier with scissors because they're too hard to kind of tear. Tweezers. Tweezers are helpful for removing debris from scratches and cuts. You can also use it for splinters or a tick, which is like a bug you get in the woods, and it's easier to pull out because they're too small to use your fingers for, and this is also just more sanitary. That means it's cleaner than using your fingers to pull things out. You wouldn't want to do that, and it'd be hard because you're wearing those gloves. Cleansing wipes. So cleansing wipes are, like a clean wipe, right? And they help clean out cuts or wounds by getting rid of the dirt and germs, right? Because you want to make sure the area is clean before you wrap it, because otherwise you'll just kind of wrap in the gross things, and you don't want to do that. All right, so gauze. This is what I was talking about. Gauze bandage rolls. They can be so you're wrapped around. If there's a pretty big cut that you can't have a band-aid on, it's like a big bandage. And here you would use your scissors to cut because it's too hard to tear. All right, medical tape. Tape is necessary for securing bandages, but it's also useful if you need to apply steady pressure to stop bleeding. So that gauze we talked about on the last slide, this is how you hold it down, because it's not like a Band-Aid. It doesn't have the sticky parts. It's basically just the cloth part of the Band-Aid. So this tape helps hold it in place, and you can also they can pull it down and apply pressure if you're needing to stop some bleeding. And unlike ordinary adhesive tapes, just regular like Scotch tape, this is specifically designed medical tape. It's gentle and easy to remove. So it holds really well, but it also comes off pretty easily. So it's not going to pull on you like regular tape or duct tape would hurt. All right, an ice pack. It reduces and prevents swelling of bruises and sprains. Okay, and they make these instant ice packs, which is what you would want to put in your first aid kit, right? Because you obviously wouldn't have a freezer in your first aid kit. So you couldn't have one that you keep in the freezer. Now you could keep some in your freezer at home if you want, but these are instant ones. So they have like a chemical inside where if you kind of crush them up and squeeze it together, it'll become really cold really quickly because of the chemicals inside, and you can use it like an ice pack. Safety pins. Safety pins can be used to hold and secure wraps and bandages. So just like the tape could work, you could also use safety pins if you have a big bandage to make it more secure with that gauze and medical tape, or without the medical tape. Itch cream. So you could put itch cream in your first aid kit. It stops the itching sensation caused by insect bites, poison plants like poison ivy, eczema, which is a skin condition that makes it really itchy, or from allergic reactions. So this is especially handy. I would highly recommend having this in your first aid kit because I use them all the time for bug bites and things like that. I get in the summertime, and so it's nice to have one in your car, maybe if you're camping or just outside at the park, anything like that. So that's a good one. I definitely have that in my first aid kit. Face masks or face shield, right? So right now you think, of course, with COVID being what it is, we're always wearing masks and always protecting, but it's always good to have backup pairs in case yours or someone else's breaks or gets dirty or someone forgets it. So now this is something we could include in our first aid kits that are really relevant to what we're going through with the with COVID as well, right? So just adding another element to our first aid kit to be protected. All right, so here's your activity for today. You're going to write a list of 5 things that you would put in your first aid kit. So 5 things you think are really important. You can pause and use this slide. You can talk with your grown-up and use things, but you're going to put in 5 things that you would put in your first aid kit. All right, I can't wait to see what you pick. Have a good day.